Now at 5, a 16-year-old was shot. Now the Salt Lake City police are asking for your help. Plus,
just the feel good that you're making a difference and that we are one step closer to eradicating cancer.
Over 1,300 runners and cyclists coming together in support of cancer research. More on the 13th annual Huntsman Sports Fest. And former President Trump making his first appearances today following his 37-count indictment.
Live from Utah's first TV station, ABC4 News celebrates 75 years.
Hello, I'm Sarah Murphy. Thanks for joining us this evening for the ABC4 News here at 5. Our top story tonight, a 16-year-old boy is recovering from an overnight shooting in Salt Lake where he was shot in the ankle. It happened in a Mill Creek parking lot. ABC4's Annika John spoke with a few local businesses and some who live in the area, and that's where we find her tonight. And Annika, I can only imagine what they experienced. What are they saying?
Yeah, Sarah. So right now, a lot of them are just saying that there are a lot of unknowns and that they are just super hopeful that those individuals who were responsible are found and held responsible for what they did. Salt Lake PD says that just after 10:30 p.m., they received multiple calls of shots being fired in the parking lot outside of multiple businesses. When officers arrived and began their investigation, they determined that 2 cars had pulled into the parking lot. One individual in one of the cars shot at a truck and 2 individuals were standing nearby. At least one of the individuals standing near the parked truck returned fire. Multiple cars were hit and officers found a bullet hole that pierced through a business's window. While investigating the area, officers received word that a 16-year-old with a gunshot wound in the ankle was dropped off at the hospital. When speaking to those who live in the area, they said that having an incident like this makes them feel a little nervous.
I moved down to this area from downtown a few years ago just because of that reason. I just wasn't feeling safe, and it kind of hits a little close to home, to be honest. So yeah, I feel safe, but I don't know how safe I feel right now.
At this time, the 16-year-old is believed to be one of the shooters. However, none of his injuries were life-threatening and no charges have been made. Salt Lake PD is asking for any information anyone may have, and if you have information, they're asking you to contact them at the number you see on your screen. Reporting live in Salt Lake City, Annika Johns, ABC4 News.
All right, thank you, Annika. Now in Salt Lake City, after some multiple shootings you saw there over the past few weeks, Salt Lake City police are increasing their overnight patrols, and last night they say it paid off. So police, they found drugs, cash, and a rifle inside a car at a traffic stop in downtown Salt Lake overnight. And a few miles away, detectives stopped another car on State Street that was speeding and running red lights. They found cocaine in that car. Police say these enhanced patrols will continue through the weekend, and they'll have members from different units helping out, like Salt Lake PD's Bike Squad, Gang Unit, and Canine Squad. Now to new developments in the case of Corey Richens, the Utah children's author accused of murdering her husband. So we're looking at questions she searched on Google just days after her husband died. ABC4's Elena Castro shows us how some say these searches are significant but don't necessarily prove she's guilty. Elena.
The searches continue with questions asking how to completely wipe an iPhone remotely, and can the cause of death be changed on a death certificate? Criminal defense attorney Clayton Sims gives us an attorney's perspective on what she may have been doing.
What she's doing is she's just researching her case. She's looking at how evidence is processed, how the FBI processes a cell phone. Can messages be deleted? Can Facebook be deleted? Maybe she's trying to understand what the time frame is. You know, how long is it going to take for the FBI to investigate this? How long is it going to take for the police to investigate this? So these are, again, Google searches after the death.
According to Corey's history, she read articles that would certainly cause people to question. An article from Vox titled, "Police Can't Read Your Messages, but Here's What They Can See." Another article from Bladen Online with the headline, "Delay in Claim Payment for Death Certificate with Pending Cause of Death." Sims adding that this adds to the picture of her case and where she may have been mentally at the time.
Some of the articles were, can you overdose on fentanyl? Can you overdose on a single pill of fentanyl? These are things that she may want to look at. If she's accused of that, she may want to see if that's possible. So I don't think it's insignificant. I think her state of mind, what she's looking at, what she's researching, could be important. But certainly, I think there's nothing there that indicates guilt.
That was ABC4's Elena Castro reporting. Now, Rich's hearing is scheduled for this Monday. We'll have continuing coverage here on ABC4 News, both on air and online. In a weather alert, we're taking a look now at one of our flood monitoring river cameras. This is a creek over in Park City. Now, LVT and the Utah Division of Emergency Management are using these cameras, they say, to help families and first responders monitor and respond to flooding emergencies. We're seeing that creek there, water running pretty high. So let's check in now with meteorologist Garrett James. He's in for Nate Larson today. Now, Garrett, we're keeping our eye on potential flooding concerns. Are there any areas we should really watch out for this weekend?
Well, as of right now, there are no flood alerts. However, that doesn't mean that water levels aren't high, especially in some of these rivers and creeks that are experiencing this runoff from that massive snowpack that we saw over the winter. And now that temperatures are starting to get above average, we're seeing all that melt off, and so we're continuing to see these creeks and rivers running high. In fact, the Virgin River down here in St. George is still running high as well, high enough that Zion National Park is continuing to keep one of its most popular hikes closed at the present time. I'll talk about that here in a minute. Let's go ahead and take a look at the radar right now. We continue to track showers and thunderstorms across the Beehive State. Look to the north shows that we are looking at showers and thunderstorms up there towards the Wasatch Back, and we can see even over towards Rock Springs and southwestern parts of Wyoming. However, towards the eastern part, just a couple isolated showers out that way. It does show one lightning strike just east of Ridgefield at the present time. However, towards the southern part of the state, staying dry. I'll have more on the radar here in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Garrett. Now, happening today in Salt Lake, hundreds coming together for cancer research at the 13th annual Huntsman Sports Fest. So people gathered at the University of Utah's Fort Douglas Field. They walked, they ran, and they rode bicycles to support the U's Huntsman Cancer Institute. Workers say 100% of today's proceeds will go to the Huntsman Institute and to cancer research.
We have the community coming together to raise funds for cancer research, and something that is so great is that even our doctors, our staff members, our nurses, our researchers, everyone that works over at Huntsman Cancer Institute is also involved, because the funds we raise here today go back to their work. So it's a one for all and all for one mentality.
So additionally, the festive atmosphere featured tributes to cancer survivors and those who have passed. It also had a bounce house, face painters, and a large chalk art dedication. Across the country today, churches are holding events to stop gun safety, and Utah is one of those places. They're calling it Guns to Gardens. Here in Utah, it was at the Christ United Methodist Church in Salt Lake City. The Gun Violence Prevention Center of Utah partnered with the Presbyterian Peace Fellowship for today's event, where people would donate firearms they didn't want, and after dismantling them, volunteers will then turn them into garden tools. So they say over 120 Americans die each day by a firearm, and they're trying to do their part to bring that number down.
Maybe they're small children, maybe there's somebody who's going through a rough spell and is depressed, and they just don't feel safe with those guns in their home anymore. If they want to have those guns dismantled, safely disarmed, and make sure that they don't fall into unsafe hands, we are here for you.
Volunteers say they'll send parts from the gun to blacksmiths in Colorado who will work to transform them. So for more information on Guns to Gardens, you can visit the website you see right there on the bottom of your screen. And new at 5 in downtown Salt Lake, a vintage store is using a Saturday market to celebrate LGBTQ artists and community members here in Utah. The store is Vintage Drift SLC, and they're calling it the Out and Proud Market. They say they're working to provide a safe and an inclusive space where more than 20 LGBTQ artists, allies, and organizations can showcase their talents, connect with community members, and promote their work. At the market, you'll find vintage pieces, local crafts, and unique handmade items. They say they're trying to encourage individuality and self-expression.
We are providing this space so that local artists can come out and showcase their art to the community. We want to celebrate individuality while fostering a sense of community.
So you can check out the market every Saturday here for the rest of the month. And coming up on ABC4 News at 5, former President Trump making his first public appearances since his federal indictment. The latest on the investigation and what he has to say about it.
We continue to have an unsettled weather pattern here across the Beehive State, and another system's heading our way. I'll have more on that coming up after the break.